Hello, wonderful people. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. My returning subscribers, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Thank you for also joining us in this very episode of our content. Thank you. And the new subscribers, thank you so much. We have about 200 and something new subscribers, over 200 new subscribers. I welcome you to the family. I welcome you to the community. Thank you very much. And those that are watching who have not subscribed, please try and subscribe immediately and click on the bell icon so that you will be notified the next time I come on air during live broadcast or when a content is uploaded to this very channel. I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe, and permit me to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you, depending on your time zone. Nnamdi Kanu's release, hidden agenda exposed. Nnamdi Kanu's release, hidden agenda exposed. This is the focus of this very video, of this broadcast. Please share immediately, like this video, like it, because it is going to help YouTube to recommend the video to other people, that they may understand why Nnamdi Kanu has been held down in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria for the past 3 years. Please share the video, like it. As you are liking this video, YouTube is taking note of it. As you are sharing the video, YouTube is also taking note of it. This is one of the ways to help to propagate the truth. Remember that he has written an open letter to you and to me. He has written an open letter crying out to the general public. I know you have a good conscience. I know you are a good and knowledgeable and intelligent person. Please, that very open letter, that is one of the reasons I have come to release this video, this very content, to push it to the world that they may understand that why Nnamdi Kanu has been held in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria, is not simply because he has been convicted of any criminal offense. It is not simply because he has done what is contrary to the Constitution of Nigeria. It's not because he has acted in contrawise to the Constitution. It's not because he has done what is outside the provision of the Constitution of Nigeria and the relevant laws of Nigeria. It is not treasonable felony. It is not criminality. This is not the issue why he is still held in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria, contrary to the pronouncement and orders and judgments of courts of competent jurisdiction in Nigeria. Both the High Court, both the Appeal Court, both the Supreme Court. The issue that Nnamdi Kanu is still right about now detained in the dungeon is not because he doesn't have a strong legal team. That is not the basis. By the time I'm going to play this clip to you, you will understand what I'm saying. The basis is not, the reason is not because there is no legal team representing him with legal expertise to do justice to his case. That is not the major reason why Nnamdi Kanu is still in the DSS dungeon. He has had about 3 legal team, or should I say he has had about 2 legal team plus the present legal team, now making it the 3rd legal team. From 2015 to 2016, he had a legal team that was led by Barrister Vincent Egechukwu Obeta, and Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor took over from him in 2016. Okay, sometime around January 2016, and began to lead the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu before Chief Mike Ozekome San, senior advocate of Nigeria, joined the legal team. And then that very legal team was also sacked. And the current legal team of Nnamdi Kanu is led by Barrister Aloy Ejimakor. He is the leader of the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, the immediate past legal team of Nnamdi Kanu, they had San among them. Okay? So the issue is not about the expertise of the legal team. This is what I am telling you now. That is not the major reason. I know that to some extent it also contributed. But that is not the major reason. The major reason is that there is a hidden agenda behind the frustration of the release of Nnamdi Kanu, which has been exposed. And I'm going to bring it to you ASAP. Share this video immediately. Share it. Remember what I said minutes ago. The more you share the video and the more you like the video, the more YouTube take note of the video and push the video to all the people that are coming to YouTube. And that is how more people are going to know what is happening. The persecution of Nnamdi Kanu is contrary to the Constitution of Nigeria. And it is not because there is no court that has given an order or judgment for his release, but simply because of this hidden agenda. Now, listen. Listen to this. Listen to this. And be convicted. Listen to it. This is coming from the aide of the President of Nigeria, the aide on policy and communication. This is coming from Daniel Bwala, special advisor to the President on policy communication. He is the one that is speaking on behalf of the government, and he exposed the hidden agenda that had forestalled the unconditional release of Nnamdi Kanu for the past 3 years. He has exposed it. Why Nnamdi Kanu has not been released. The hidden agenda. He by himself decided to expose it. Or should I say, somehow, without being cautious, that he was before a live television, began to speak out the real reason behind the frustration and the denial or the delay for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, listen. Remember to share this video. Remember to share it very widely. Now, listen. A question was asked him about the continual detention of Nnamdi Kanu. Why he's been detained. Now, listen.
In the southeast, some have said if you release this man, it would lead to peace, and those that have been committing criminality, hiding under IPOB, will be exposed. Is it not time we look at alternative dispute mechanisms to deal with the situation? Is it something the president might consider?
What the interviewer was asking him is that some people have made a very strong case that if you release Nnamdi Kanu, it's going to bring peace to the southeast. It's going to bring peace to the southeast. Why can't the government consider that call, even for the sake of peace in the region? That was the question.
So everything in life begins with the person. Like, for example, are you a Christian? Yes. So there are people, they call them born again, right? Do you know how they became born again? They acknowledge their sins. They repented. They are forgiven.
Now, did you hear what he asked the interviewer? He was asking the interviewer whether he's a Christian. And the interviewer said, yes, I'm a Christian. And he began to say that if you are a Christian, you will understand there is what is called being born again. And he began to explain that before someone becomes a born again, that the person must accept his or her sin. That there must be the acknowledgement of sin before the person's sins are forgiven. So he is trying to use it to illustrate the case of Nnamdi Kanu. Trying to say that Nnamdi Kanu has committed a sin, or that Nnamdi Kanu has broken the law. Whereas the appeal court has struck out all the charges preferred against Nnamdi Kanu on the 13th of October 2022. That is a court of competent jurisdiction. This very advisor of the president on policy communication, is he not aware that the Supreme Court, or should I say the Appeal Court of Nigeria, struck out the remaining 8-count charges that was preferred against Nnamdi Kanu on the 13th of October 2022? Is he not aware of the different kind of court orders in the favor of Nnamdi Kanu and the condemnation of different high courts, or federal high court, appeal court, Supreme Court, with regards to how the government chose to handle the case of Nnamdi Kanu? Is he not aware? This is a special aid, an advisor to the president of Nigeria on policy communication. Policy communication. What is it that he didn't understand about the Supreme Court judgment on the 15th of December 2023? What is it that he didn't understand about that very court judgment that condemned the action of the government that led to the disappearance of Nnamdi Kanu, and also the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria to face trial? Is he not aware that the Supreme Court condemned the process, the illegal approach, the unconstitutional approach, or the criminal approach that the government took in bringing Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria in order to face trial? Is he not aware of it? Why should he describe the case of Nnamdi Kanu, or why should he openly say that Nnamdi Kanu has committed a sin? He has committed a crime. In other words, that is what he meant. He was trying to talk about born again in the Christian faith. that before someone becomes a born again, that the person must admit that he or she has committed a sin before the sins can be forgiven, and then the person becomes a born again. In other words, that Nnamdi Kanu has committed a crime, that he must admit, that he must accept that he has committed a crime. This is what the government wants. That is the agenda that has been hidden for a very long time. And some people didn't understand. Some people never knew it, that this is an agenda hidden far away from the knowledge of men. But today it is being exposed. The government is trying to say that Nnamdi Kanu must first of all accept that he has done something wrong, that he has committed a crime. In other words, that he must plead guilty, that he must allow himself to be convicted in the court of Nigeria, that he must be convicted. He must accept it, that he has done something wrong. He has broken the laws of Nigeria. He has gone contrary to the provision of the Constitution of Nigeria and the United Nations Charter on Human Rights Declarations, and of course the United Nations Covenants and Conventions that guarantees self-determination for the indigenous people. This man, the advisor of the president on policy communication, is trying to say that Nnamdi Kanu should openly accept that he has done something wrong, that he deserves to be incarcerated, that he deserves to be tortured, that he deserves to be extraordinarily renditioned from Kenya to Nigeria, that he has no constitutional background or support or right to do what he is doing for the freedom of his people from Nigeria. That is what he is saying, and it is being exposed today for those that don't know. Listen again.
Is it not time
Listen
to look
again.
at alternative dispute mechanisms to deal with the situation? Is it something the president might consider? So everything in life begins with the person. Like, for example, are you a Christian? Yes. So there are people they call them born again, right? Do you know how they became born again? They acknowledge their sins. They repented. They are forgiven. Their sins are forgiven. They become born again. Unless there is acknowledgement by the person in question, I am denouncing this. She talked about the de-radicalization. Then government can intervene. You cannot sit where you sit holding that thought and position that is criminal, and then your uncle, your sister, your brothers are pleading with government to say bypass all protocol and forgive. First of all, our judicial system, Nnamdi will have to have gone through the judicial process and be convicted before the president can exercise the order.
But there's still the presumption of innocence. He can't admit to what hasn't been officially said as a crime.
So if you don't admit, run through the process. You see, this de-radicalization we talked about, they were not yet charged to court. Some of them were in court. It's acknowledgement. If you don't want to acknowledge, what's the basis of saying I want to free him? Because some people say if you free him, we'll handle him.
So
what I'm trying to say is, Nnamdi Kanu is not different from another average Nigerian. The press who emphasize on the right of the ordinary man, and when they ask government, they keep saying ordinary man, ordinary. You must talk about the real problem of ordinary people rather than certain individuals that are the symbol of catchphrase and buzzwords. Somebody has to acknowledge his wrong and say, I want peace with government. I want to renounce what I'm saying. And then you can say, okay, there is evidence cogent to say that this person wants to live his own ways.
So, in essence, I think the summary of what we're saying is that the Nnamdi Kanu is going to be detained, and that the presidency will not at any point step into the arena.
The villa is not a police station. The president is not a prosecutor. He's the president of Nigeria, tasked with responsibility to govern Nigeria. Law enforcement will carry out their work, and then people in government will carry out their work. I want to beg the Nigerian media to not choose certain individuals and treat them as more special than other individuals with the disproportionate application of principles. The ordinary man, when it comes to hunger, it is good for the optics to talk about them. When it comes to criminal justice system, you isolate certain individual. It's just like, let's say, corrupt people. Maybe there's a corrupt politician has been in charge. There's some people who say, leave him. Meanwhile, the other people can be in detention. I made the point clear to you here. For de-radicalization to take place, there has to be acknowledgement and departure from your old way.
We get your message, sir. So,
Thank you.
but that message, we don't know if it's for us. The message also should also be back. We have message.
No, it's actually Moses to you to tell them, because they told you and you asked me.
Yes, but we're also giving the message that we get from the people back to the government.
To the presidency. Which is
the presidency is that what we hear and the pulse we're getting.
Now, did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? I believe that you heard all the things that he said. I believe that you heard him very clearly. I am going to bring back the clip and we'll be looking into it one after the other, the statement. I have made some analysis of the first statement that he made from the beginning of that very broadcast. I've made some analysis about it. I'm not going to go back to it. Thank you for joining. Those of you that are joining now, please, it is important to share this broadcast. It is important to share the video. First of all, like the video. The more you like this video, the more you are helping YouTube to understand that there is need for this video to go far, that other people may hear what is responsible for the delay of Nnamdi Kanu. There are people that don't know yet why Nnamdi Kanu is still locked away in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria. There are people that up until now, they don't understand why court will make pronouncement, court will give judgment, court will give orders, and the orders and judgments are not obeyed, are not complied with. It is because of the hidden agenda. This agenda is beyond the purview of the judiciary of Nigeria. This very agenda is beyond the jurisdiction. It is beyond the sphere. It is beyond the judicial boundaries of the Nigerian judiciary. It is beyond it. It is beyond the legal representation of Nnamdi Kanu. It is beyond them. It is beyond the legal team of Nnamdi Kanu, whether past or present. That is why, with all the court processes for more than 3 years, Nnamdi Kanu is still in the DSS dungeon. With all the legal processes, all the legal citations, all the citation of authorities in different court sittings and proceedings of Nnamdi Kanu, till this very moment, he is still there in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria. This is the hidden agenda that have made it so. It is these hidden agendas that have made it so. These agendas are rooted in ethnicity. These hidden agendas are rooted in political undertone or political inclination. This hidden agenda is hidden, rooted down in tribalism. This agenda is rooted in British interest. You need to understand it. It is rooted in the interest or the economic interest of Britain. This agenda that has frustrated the release of Nnamdi Kanu all these years is rooted in political quest to protect the political interest of certain individuals, whether it is in the southeast or in the south or in the north. It is to protect certain ethnic group in Nigeria, the interest of certain ethnic group in Nigeria, which you know, those that are killing the farmers and sacking communities with their guns and AK-47s. It is to protect their interest. You need to understand that this hidden agenda is to make sure that injustice thrives, that injustice sticks, that injustice becomes a standard for all and sundry across the board in Nigeria. This very hidden agenda is to protect the interest of a very few individuals, those who don't want the country to develop, who don't want a viable economy in the country, who don't want the next generation, even the present generation, to realize the full potential that God has given to them. This very agenda that has been exposed is rooted in selfishness, in betrayal, in the subversion of the constitution. This you need to understand. I am going to bring back the clip. I'm going to bring it back to you, and then we will start looking at it one after the other again. The point that he has made, that you may understand. Please, I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe. Help and share this broadcast. Help and share the video. Tag people to watch. Tag them. Share to YouTube. Share to Facebook. Share to Facebook. Share to X. Share to all the social media platforms. Yes, it is important to do so. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please, I beg of you, please share this broadcast and subscribe. And when you subscribe, click on the bell icon by the side of the subscription. Click on the bell icon by the side of the subscription, and then that will help you to know anytime that I'm coming on air, anytime that I'm broadcasting or a content is uploaded to this channel. Please let us hear again what Daniel Voila said. the hidden agenda that he has exposed. Now, listen.
In the southeast, some have said if you release this man, it would lead to peace, and those that have been committing criminality, hiding under IPOB, will be exposed. Is it not time we look at alternative dispute mechanisms to deal with the situation? Is it something the president might consider?
So everything in life begins with the person. Like, for example, are you a Christian?
Yes.
So there are people, they call them born again, right? Do you know how they became born again? They acknowledge their sins. They repented. They are forgiven. Their sins are forgiven, and then they become born again. Unless there is acknowledgement by the person in question, I am denouncing this. She talked about the de-radicalization. Then government can intervene. You cannot sit where you sit.
Now listen to what he said. He said that the person in question, which is Nnamdi Kanu, has not acknowledged that he has done something wrong. That is what he is saying on behalf of the president and on behalf of Nigeria as a country. He is speaking on behalf of the government. Okay? He is the special aide to the president on policy communication. So, he is a cabinet member of the present administration or the sitting president of Nigeria. This you need to understand. So, he is speaking from the understanding of the position of the government. He is not a passerby that is just trying to make some political analysis about the case of Nnamdi Kanu. He is not an uninformed individual that is trying to make uninformed statement or confession or revelation. This you need to understand. He is speaking as an insider who understands the policy of the president. Okay? He is the aide. Okay? He is the special assistant of the president on policy communication. This you need to understand. He is not speaking as an outsider. He is not speaking as a Biafran. He is not speaking as a foreigner. He is speaking as an insider of the government. He understands the policy of the government. He understands the position and the agenda of the government regarding the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And that is what he's saying. That the government wants Nnamdi Kanu to first of all accept that he has committed a crime. That the government wants him to accept and confess that he has done something wrong. That he has broken the law, the constitution, which is not true. According to all the pronouncement and the judgment of the court so far, the court had ruled and held that Nnamdi Kanu did not commit any crime. That was why the appeal court struck out all the remaining count charges that the government preferred on Nnamdi Kanu on the 13th of October 2022. And that is why the Supreme Court, in strong words, in strong terms, with strong wordings, delivered a judgment that is so indicting, that is so indicting on the government, condemning the processes by which the government brought Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria to face trial. The government the Supreme Court called it criminal, that it is an international crime, that the government committed an international crime by the way they brought him back to Nigeria, which renders the trial unconstitutional, illegal, which render the trial criminal. It is a criminal trial. It is not even supposed to be held. Okay? In the nearest future, I am going to bring to you the United Nations judgment on this platform. I am going to bring it to you because some of you don't understand what the United Nations judgment said about Nnamdi Kanu. You are going to hear it from this very channel. I am going to bring it to you. The United Nations judgment condemned the way and manner by which the government brought Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria. Not only condemning the process by which he was brought to Nigeria to face trial, the United Nations judgment also held in their judgment that Nnamdi Kanu did not commit any crime whatsoever, by any form or shape, that he never committed any crime, whether against the constitution, which is the domestic constitution of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, or against the United Nations Charter and declarations and covenants on human rights, international human rights, more especially that of self-determination. This you need to know. But the government hidden agenda is that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu must openly accept and confess that he has committed a crime, that he has done something wrong by agitating for Biafra referendum. that he has done something wrong for speaking out all the ills and evil meted out on his people, which is not only on the Igbo people that they were meted out. It is affecting the entire country from different regions of the country. Everyone is crying. Everyone is not having fun. This you need to understand. Okay? And Daniel Boala is saying that somebody cannot remain where he is. Someone cannot maintain his position. And people are begging for his release. That is what he said. That Nnamdi Kanu cannot remain adamant without cowing in, without submitting to their own opinion, allowing their agenda to reign supreme, and then expect the government to release him. That before the government will release him, that he must accept that he has committed a crime. That is what he said. That he must change his position and his stand. And that is one of the reasons that Nnamdi Kanu is being held without being released. He has not changed his position in his conviction. He has not changed his position and the reason for agitating for Biafra. He has not changed his mind. He has not betrayed the Biafran people. That is what he's saying. The hidden agenda, it is so terrible that you need to understand it. Share this video. Now, listen again.
You cannot sit where you sit holding that thought and position that is criminal.
That he should not remain where he sits holding that thought and position. What is the thought and what is the position? That he is agitating for the freedom of Biafra and for Biafra referendum, for self-determination of Biafra. So he refused to be bribed. He refused to be confused and distracted. With all the torture, with all the frustration to his release, he remained adamant. He doesn't want to give in. He doesn't want to give up. That is what the government is saying through this man. That he is still holding the same position. That he doesn't want to change his opinion. Listen.
She talked about the de-radicalization. Then government can intervene. You cannot sit where you sit holding that thought and position that is criminal, and then your uncle, your sister, your brothers are pleading with government to say bypass all protocol and forgive. First of all,
now did you hear what he said? That Nnamdi Kanu cannot remain where he is in his opinion, which is to restore Biafra, which is Biafra referendum. That he should not, that he should change his mind. That is what he's saying. That is the hidden agenda of the government. That is the hidden agenda of those who are highly placed. They want him to change his mind. He said that he cannot remain in that very opinion, maintaining that very position and opinion without giving up. And people are begging for his release. And the lawyers are going to court for his release. And people are broadcasting for his release. And different organizations, whether Ohaneze Ndibo, whether Afenifere, whether Pandef, it doesn't matter, the individuals who are calling for his release, that Nnamdi Kanu must first of all change his mind from agitating for Biafra. That he must abandon the Biafra agitation. And he must accept and confess that he has done something wrong by agitating peacefully for the freedom of Biafra and for calling for the referendum of Biafra before the government can look into his case to see whether they will release him or not. That is what he's saying. Listen again.
First of all, our judicial system, Nnamdi will have to have gone through the judicial process and be convicted before the president can exercise the order.
So there's still the presumption of innocence. He can't admit to what hasn't been.
He said that Nnamdi Kanu must go through the judicial process. That Nnamdi Kanu must go through the judicial process. That he must go through the judicial process of Nigeria and be convicted. And be convicted. These are the conditions they are given for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Number one, he must confess that he has committed a crime. Number two, he must change his position and opinion about Biafra restoration and give it up. Number three, he must denounce Biafra. He must denounce it. He must say, I am no longer agitating for Biafra, and he will make it openly. And number four, that he must go through the judicial process of Nigeria and be convicted and be found guilty. That is what it means to be convicted and be found guilty. That if Nnamdi Kanu is not found guilty, they are not going to release him. Okay? That is what he's saying. Listen.
Our judicial system, Nnamdi will have to have gone through the judicial process and be convicted before the president can exercise the order.
He said that Nnamdi Kanu must be convicted before the president can exercise his executive powers to release him. So before the political solution, Nnamdi Kanu must be convicted. That is what they are trying to say. That before the political solution will work, that Nnamdi Kanu must be subjected through the process of the judiciary of Nigeria, through the court of Nigeria, not according to the constitution. No, this you need to understand. Not for justice to take its place or to have its course, but that for the singular reason that he must be convicted, which is contrary to all the previous court judgments and pronouncements about the case of Nnamdi Kanu. That until he is convicted, that the president cannot use his presidential powers to release or to consider the release of Nnamdi Kanu. He must be convicted first. In other words, he must be found guilty. And if that happens, that is the end of Biafra agitation. If Nnamdi Kanu is convicted in the court of Nigeria, that is the end of it. It will be very difficult for the Biafra restoration to come back to limelight again. This you need to understand. If he is convicted, that means IPOB will remain proscribed in Nigeria. That is the truth. If he is convicted, IPOB will remain a proscribed organization in Nigeria. This you need to understand. None of you will be free. Whether you're in diaspora, whether you are in Nigeria, with time, the government will start looking for you one after the other after the conviction of Nnamdi Kanu. It is not just about him. It is about the entire race. It is about the entire Igbo people. It is about the entire Igbo people. This you need to understand. That is what they want to achieve. That is the hidden agenda and is being exposed. So that is what he said, that he must be convicted before the government can use, before the president can use his presidential powers, the executive powers, in order to talk about his release. If that doesn't happen, they cannot talk about his release. That is the hidden agenda that has been exposed. Now, listen again.
But there's still the presumption of innocence. He can't admit to what hasn't been officially said as a crime.
So if you don't admit, run through the process. You see, this the radicalization we talked about, they were not yet charged to court. Some of them were in court. It's acknowledgement. If you don't want to acknowledge, what's the basis of saying I want to free him? Because some people say if you free him, we'll handle him.
So
did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
Did you hear what he said? He said that if you don't acknowledge, what is the basis of releasing him? If he doesn't acknowledge that he has committed a crime against Nigeria, what is the basis of releasing him? That is the question that the president or the government is asking through the presidential aide on policy communication, Daniel Bwala. That is the question that the government is asking. That if Nnamdi Kanu refuses to accept that he has done what is wrong, refuses to confess and denounce Biafra, if he is not convicted, there is no basis for his release. So his release, which is their own type of definition of political solution, is based on his conviction that he must be convicted first before they can talk about his release.
So
what I'm trying to say is, Nnamdi Kanu is not different from another average Nigerian. The press who emphasize on the right of the ordinary man, and when they ask government, they keep saying ordinary man, ordinary. You must talk about the real problem of ordinary people rather than certain individuals that are the symbol of catchphrase and buzzwords. Somebody has to acknowledge his wrong and said, I want peace with government. I want to renounce what I'm saying.
Did you hear what he said? That somebody needs to acknowledge their wrongdoing. That is, that Nnamdi Kanu needs to acknowledge that he has broken the laws of Nigeria. He has gone contrary to the laws of Nigeria and that of the United Nations, and say, I am sorry. I want to be at peace with the government. I want to be at peace with the government. I want peace with the government. So before there can be peace between Nnamdi Kanu and the government, Nnamdi Kanu must be convicted in the court of Nigeria. In other words, he must be found guilty. He must be found guilty. And when someone is found guilty, the person will be sentenced. This you need to understand. It will not end at the court. This you need to know. Because they are not going to ask, even if Nnamdi Kanu open his mouth today and confess that he is sorry for all that he has done, which is not against the law, by the way. Even if he open his mouth today and say, I am renouncing Biafra, I am no longer going to fight for Biafra, I am no longer going to agitate, I am no longer going to talk about Biafra, all IPOB members stand down. Every structure of IPOB that is raised or created for the restoration of Biafra, I am pulling them down. I am converting them to something else. I will no longer agitate for Biafra. Even if Nnamdi Kanu says it, the government cannot release him easily. Even if he open his mouth and say it, the government will pressure the judge to find him guilty in the court, and he must be sentenced to serve prison terms. This you need to understand, so that he will become an ex-convict. And by the time Nnamdi Kanu is convicted, the case of Biafra restoration will be dead in Nigeria. This you need to understand, because it is going to become an authority in law. It is going to become a legal or judicial precedence. The judge or the court or the government is going to make reference to it in another similar case in the future. Do you understand what I'm saying? And now they will not release him easily without him serving prison sentence. This you need to know, because of when they released him in 2017, when they released him, they saw that he did not comply with the bail condition. The bail condition that told him, you are not going to embark on campaign, you are not going to be campaigning for Biafra, you are not going to be around people that are, more than 10 people in a group, you are not going to be in a group, you are not going to move from from one place to another campaigning for anything, holding rallies. These were among the conditions they gave to him in the 2017 bail condition, which Nnamdi Kanu did not comply with, which is contrary to his fundamental human right according to the Constitution of Nigeria. So they saw that when they released him in 2017, he did not comply with the conditions of his release, his bail conditions. Okay? They are scared that they cannot release him without a stronger measure that will hold him down, that he will never ever again flout the bail condition or flout the government condition or go contrary to the interest of the government or Nigeria or Britain. So that is why they said our agenda now is that he must renounce Biafra. He must renounce it. He must denounce it. He must wash his hands off anything Biafra, anything that has to do with Biafra. He must reject it and abandon it. And he must be convicted in the court, and he must be sentenced. After being found guilty, he must be sentenced and serve prison terms. And believe you me, it will not end there. If Nnamdi Kanu does it, you know that millions of Biafrans are going to turn against him. His life will no longer be safe. This you need to know. So they want to turn Nnamdi Kanu against the people, that the people may come against him. And if the people come against you, you are finished. Millions of Biafra all over the world, if they decide to rise up against Nnamdi Kanu, because so many people have lost their beloved ones, so many people have lost their family members, so many people have lost their businesses and their jobs because of Biafra, because of IPOB, because Nnamdi Kanu told them to come out so that they can agitate peacefully for the restoration of Biafra. And now he has renounced Biafra after many of them have died. They have lost their beloved ones. They have lost their means of livelihood. They have lost their jobs and opportunities. Many of them are in detention, are in prison. Many of them, their hands have been cut off. They have been maimed for life. Their legs cut off, amputated. Many of them in different kind of heart-breaking conditions. When they hear that Nnamdi Kanu has denounced Biafra, has abandoned Biafra, in order for him to be free, what do you think they are going to do to Nnamdi Kanu? What do you think they are going to, how do you think they are going to react? They will come against him. They will work against him. His life will not be safe. This you need to know. So the government is plotting a very dangerous chase or graft against Nnamdi Kanu, so that his life will be in danger, so that there will be no future for him. This you need to understand. It is the hidden agenda behind this release. It is being exposed, and you need to share this video. Share it. Like the video. Like it. Make sure that you share it widely, that others may know. The more you like the video, the more you share the video, the more YouTube will be taking note of the video and be pushing it to other people to watch. And believe you me, many people need to hear this. Many people need to understand this hidden agenda that has been exposed, that they may know why Nnamdi Kanu is still in the DSS dungeon in Abuja, Nigeria. For the people that are thinking that, oh, he need to face the court, he need to face the trial, it is not about trial, it is not about the court, it is about the hidden agenda they have about him. If you want him to be convicted, why not guarantee fair trial? Why not guarantee fair trial? And if the trial shall be fair, it means that the trial will not take place in Nigeria. That is the truth. Because the offense that they allege that he committed was not committed in Nigeria. They said it is through the radio broadcast that he made in London. he made a radio broadcast in London calling for the disintegration of Nigeria, according to them. Okay, so if that very thing is a crime or it is against the law, where did they commit it? Which jurisdiction is it? It is Britain. Nigerian courts lack the jurisdiction to hear the case of Nnamdi Kanu or to try the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and that was exactly the judgment of the Appeal Court of Nigeria, Federal Court of Appeal, on the 13th of October 2022. This you need to understand. I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe. If you have not subscribed to this channel, it is important you subscribe to this channel. I am not making all this up. It is the fact and the truth before every one of us, staring us in the face, and we have to embrace the truth. Subscribe to this channel. The more you subscribe, the more you are helping the truth to get out there.
And then you can say, okay, there is evidence, coach, to say that this person wants to live his own ways.
So, in essence, I think the summary of what was saying
he is talking of evidence. The evidence they want to have is that Nnamdi Kanu has renounced Biafra, and it's going to be documented, though. All this thing he is saying now, it's not that it is going to be a private discussion between them and Nnamdi Kanu. It is going to be documented, and it is going to be taped. He will say it before camera. They will video him. Okay? Whether it is with conventional camera or with a spy camera or whatever camera, it is going to be captured on camera. This you need to know as an evidence against him. This you need to know. It is a hidden agenda behind the release of Nnamdi Kanu that the government wants. They want him to confess, and they will document it. They want him to denounce Biafra, renounce Biafra, and it will be documented as evidence. That is what he's saying here. They are looking for evidence in order to convict him. They have been looking for evidence. They have not found any evidence. Now they want him to produce the evidence by himself and hand it over to the government so that they can go to the court and convict him, and that will be the end of it. And that will be the end of it.
I think the summary of what was saying is that the government, the Nnamdi Kanu is going to be detained, and that the presidency will not at any point step into the arena.
The villa is not a police station. The president is not a prosecutor. He's the president of Nigeria, tasked with responsibility to govern Nigeria. Law enforcement will carry out their work, and then people in government will carry out their work. I want to beg the Nigerian media to not choose certain individuals and treat them as more special than certain other individuals with the disproportionate application of principles. The ordinary man, when it comes to hunger, it is good for the optics to talk about them. When it comes to criminal justice system, you isolate certain individual. It's just like, let's say, corrupt people. Maybe there's a corrupt politician has been in charge. Then some people will say, leave him. Meanwhile, the other people can be in detention. I made the point clear to you here. For de-radicalization to take place, there has to be acknowledgement and departure from your old ways.
Get your message.
Did you hear that? That for de-radicalization to take place, there must be acknowledgement and confession and departure from the old way. What is that departure? That he must depart from talking about Biafra before he can be released. That is what the government say. That he must confess that he is no longer agitating for Biafra. That he must collapse IPOB structure and ask every IPOB to step down. All the activities must be stopped all over the world. That is what he's saying before they can talk about his release. That he must confess it, and it must be documented as evidence that he is no longer going to agitate for Biafra, and he must be convicted in the court of Nigeria, and he will serve prison sentence before they can talk about releasing him. This is the hidden agenda behind the release of Nnamdi Kanu, and it has been exposed. I am Pst Maxwell Nnawuihe.